Well, hey, everybody, welcome to Ignite Live. Thanks for being here. Super excited to see you all rested and well and feeling fabulous. I can't wait to connect with each and every one of you on Ignite Live. And I love that you get to watch the videos because it just sets you into the tone. It gets you excited and awakened and alive and ignited. So if you're feeling ignited, give us a bit of a snap in the chat. I'd love to see a few snaps. Just ignite, create a little bit of enthusiasm. Let's do it. All right. Well, welcome everybody to an incredible week. I can't believe it's already mid-May. Usually for the last 7 years, this last week of May, my family and I have been going on holidays, going to spend the summer in Europe. And this year, I don't know, I was just feeling like, I don't get to go anywhere again. But that's okay because, well, it's starting to warm up. As some of you know, I spent the week in the mountains, hanging out and getting some fresh air from Mother Nature. And so I'm feeling super invigorated and inspired and lit up with all the things that are possible. It's really amazing what happens when you get outside and you have a little time in nature. Some of you who are living in warm countries be like, what is she talking about? But here in Canada, we've had almost 9 months of snow. I know it's crazy. So it just keeps you inside and indoors and kind of like on the brain. So to be outside was so great. Also, what I want to share with you, and you guys know I love to just get personal, get deep, get real, get raw, get real. And taking time off and really taking time off versus taking a little bit of time off and still working and all that kind of stuff, I figured it out. It doesn't work. Like if you're going to take time off, if you're going to go do something, go do it full out. If you're going to rest, if you're going to sleep, if you're going to play, and trying to do both and toggle back and forth. Think of how many times in our lives where it just doesn't work. Like we want to get a quick nap, but we can't sleep because we're so busy thinking about what we should be doing. Or we want to like go on, for me, I wanted to get away, but I still booked meetings while I was away. So I wasn't good at meetings or good at being away. So just a little insight that I've learned, like if you really want to do it well, then give it your 100%. And even though we feel like we should doing a multitude of things, just focusing on one thing is really the key, because that's going to move the needle forward. That's going to allow you to go forward when you really focus on one thing at a time. I was notorious for being little needle movers in like 17 different things. And then little things were just happening in little doses instead of like, let's just go full out in this and let's see what happens. So for many of you, going full out means this week is book launch week. Congratulations. Put your hand up if you are launching this week, on the authors launching this week. Yay! Put your hand up if you're launching next week. Yay! The author's launching next week. Fantastic. And for those of you who are just kicking off, put your hands up. Yay, just getting started. I know it's so fun. And we love each and every single process that you are in. Congratulations. All of it absolutely deserves to be celebrated. We don't celebrate enough. Celebrate your successes. Celebrate your challenges, celebrate your newness, celebrate something you're just doing for the very first time, and really step into celebrating. Now, today I want to talk about something really cool, because while I was away, I had a little bit of rest time. I had a little bit of downtime. And last Thursday morning, while I was sleeping in the big feather tick bed with the mountains outside and the window open, the birds chirping and all that fun stuff, I was just kind of waking up and I was in that semi-conscious state. And I'll share with you all, while I was sort of dreaming, I said to God, please make me great. And he said back to me, make you great at what? And I said, make me great, make me a great entrepreneur, make me a great influencer, make me a great speaker, make me a great writer. And he said, you're supposed to be great at your greatness. Now think about that for a moment. Like really, it's a tongue twister, but it's really powerful. You're supposed to be great at your greatness. That's what God told me in one of my, like in my semi-conscious state. And I've thought about that all week. It was just like big. It's been big on my brain. Some of you heard me already talking about it. Be great at your greatness. Now, we were all born great. We all are great. We have so many great things about us. We are innately great. And so being great at that is really a powerful release. It's really a powerful direction. It's actually so freeing. Instead of trying to be great at a thing, why don't you just be great at your greatness? And each and every one of us have greatness. And so today I want you to map out a little bit of your greatness. Now, Peter and I love to chat, and he loves to be the devil's advocate. And he said to me, well, what if you're not great at anything? Or what if you don't think you're great at anything? And what I pointed out is like, every single creature, every single living organism on the earth is great. Like porcupines are great at having quills. Inchworms are great at going through the mud and making holes. Baboons are great at making noise and pounding their chest. Roses are great at smelling beautiful. Like there isn't a thing that you can think of that isn't great. Single cell paramecium organisms are great at creating, bacteria or life force, or, there's so many things that there isn't anything that you can't think of that isn't great. Snakes are great. They can climb vertical, and, elephants are great. Giraffes are great. Pine cones are great. Like really, I know you guys are thinking like, what was she doing out there in the mountains? But when you think about it, like everything is really great. And so if we can give every living organism, every plant, every cell, every animal, the label of being great, why can't we do it to ourselves? Why can't we see that if God made everything great, or evolution made everything great, water is great, air is great, fire is great, then why aren't we great? And I really want you to ask yourself, like, if everything else gets to be great, why don't you get to be great too? Like, why do you feel like you were excused in the great lineup and you didn't get to anything great? And then I went so far as to say to Peter, like, come on, like, you're great at breathing. You're great at blinking. You're great at walking. You're great at scratching an itch. Like there's so many things you're great at. And we as humans somehow decide that we're not great. And the way we do that is we do what no other species does, is we compare. And so many of you know I was cycling this weekend on my bike, and I think I'm great. Now, if I compare myself to Lance Armstrong, maybe I'm not so great. But if I'm just JB on my bike, doing the best that I can, not falling off, not freaking out, not tumbling, that's great. And so when we compare ourselves to Tony Robbins, to Les Brown, to Michelle Obama, to all the other people that are way up there, that are in a different place than us, that's when we start to diminish our greatness. When we have someone tell us, like, you can't do that, you're not supposed to do that, you're not good enough, we compare ourselves to their expectations of us, and then we diminish our greatness. And so what I really want to awaken in all of you is the fact that you are great. You're great already, just the way you are. And in fact, you're great in multitude of different things. We've just been conditioned in our mind to think less than, because we're comparing ourselves to someone else, or we're listening to someone else's expectations. So if you were to release all those things, get out your pen and paper, because this is where we're going to do some fun stuff. If you were to just release what anyone has said about you, and if you were just to, like, privately in your own moments, just here right now with the family, the Ignite family, if you were to just write out 10 things that you're great at. Now I'm going to challenge every single one of you to do this. Now, you could be great at smiling. You could be great at walking. You could be great at making people laugh. You don't have to say, well, I'm great at being, a Michelin star chef. You could be great at cooking. You don't have to be Michelin star chef to be great at it. So I want you to write out 10 things that you think you're great at, and no one else is going to read it, and no one else is going to see it. Now, if you want to, you can definitely put it in the chat, 1 or 2 things. I love it when you're in the chat. That's so fun. But I would love for you to take a moment to write out 10 things that you're great at, and I'll play some beautiful music. Awesome. Now I'd love some of you to share. I wrote number 7 was, I'm great at living life. I thought that was a good one. Like, I'm great at living life. I live life. I like to live life. I like to live not by anybody else's code, but my own. So in my mind, I'm great at it. I'm great at parenting. I'm great I actually wrote, I'm great at laughing because I have a very funny laugh when I'm really going at it. And my kids, they always joke around because they're like, we could be lost in a circus. We could be like somewhere in the airport and we could just hear our mom laugh. And then we know there she is. And so my ex used to always tease me about my laughing, but my kids love my laughing. And so I just say, I'm great at laughing. Like, why not? Why not be great at laughing? I'd love for you guys to put some things in the chat. I'd love to see some of your things that you're great at. Just post something, just at least one thing, post something in the chat that you're great at. And then if anyone would like to share, put up your hand or go to the reactions button at the bottom and tell us a little bit in your own words what you're great at. Now, sometimes it's hard for us to say these things because somewhere in our past, someone told us like, don't brag. Anyone ever have that one? Don't be a braggart. Don't talk about yourself. Did anyone get that one? Don't be self-absorbed. Anyone hear that one? Like I got all of those. Don't be a braggart. Don't talk about yourself. Don't be boastful. Don't think so high of yourself. Anybody get that one? Anybody else have any other things that people would say to them when they think they were great? Yeah, it's very, very common for people to be like, well, you're not so great at that. Well, you think you're great, but you're not that great. The truth is, the reason why people say that is because that's how they feel. They feel like they're not great at it. So they say that you're not great at it. In fact, we're all mirrors of each other. So all those people that said that you're not great at it is because they don't feel great. And they just want to pull you down a little bit because it helps them not feel great about themselves. I love what's going in the chat. I'm great at trying new things. I'm great at explaining complicated medical things. I'm great at being a mom. I'm great at being a wife. I'm great at hanging in there. I'm great at getting to the root cause of problems. Fantastic. These are the things you're great at. And so if you're going to go with what God told me last Thursday, be great at your greatness. So be great at your greatness. Be great at the things you're great at. And if you're struggling at making your list, ask some people around you. See, we sometimes can't see it in ourselves, but our friends are so quick to tell us like, oh my gosh, you're so great at, you know, putting your outfits together. People have told me that. And it's like, really? What do you mean? It just comes naturally to me. So sometimes things that come natural to you, you don't really think you're great at, but other people think it's really amazing. There's that super profound saying that says, what is simple to one man is profound to another. So what you think is easy for you is actually really, really powerful to someone else. And so knowing what you're great at and then being even more great at that, can you imagine how much fun that would be? All right, second exercise. What do you feel is your divine greatness? Now, we can say we're great at blinking. We can say we're great at smiling. We can say we're great at being a mom. We can say we're great at helping people. But I want you to go one level deeper and ask yourself, what do you think is your divine greatness? And if you're having trouble understanding this, I'd like you to think back when you were a kid, when you were young and you were free and nothing mattered. What did you love to do? What would you innately go to? What was something that you could do for hours, you would spend time on? I loved crafts. Ever since I was little, I was just a crafter, silly putty, Play-Doh, Tinker Toys. I loved cross stitching. I loved Lego. I loved those big threads that you made into rug hooks. Like I was a crafter. I just love doing that. I innately went to that at all times, no matter what. So think back when you were young. What were you great at? Were you great at running? Were you great at telling jokes? Were you great at baseball? Write down things that you were great at a young age. And then think about that. Like that wasn't taught to you necessarily. That wasn't embedded into you. That wasn't told to you like, you should be great at your accounting. No one said that to you when you were 8. But when you were 8 and you loved going outside and catching frogs and you were the best frog catcher in your whole neighborhood, you were great at that. So write those down. Write some things down that you were great at innately before anyone told you differently, that you just love to do. And some of those things you probably did when you were a kid, and maybe even as a teenager or in your early 20s when life was a little bit easier and free, or maybe even 2 years ago before COVID, you were really great at something innately and, circumstances have changed. But what do you feel you're divinely great at? Write some of those down and I'll play a little fabulous music. what's so cool about this process is a lot of times we don't think about the things that we're innately great at. We think of the things that we've been conditioned to be great at. We were trained, we went to school, we were taught how to be great at something, and those things are wonderful. But the innate greatness that's in you is really, really powerful. In fact, many of us suppress that because we think we should be doing something else. So I actually wrote, my innate greatness is creativity, designing, having fun, building things, and playing adventure. Like that is really me. If you just stripped away everything about me, I love to design, I love to create, I love to build things, I love to have fun, I love to go on adventure. Like that's me in my bliss. And if you think about me and my bliss, and I'm sorry using me as an example, I'm happy to use someone else as an example. But if I actually focused on being greater at that, like greater at the things that I already am innately great at, can you imagine how great I would be at them? Like really think about it. If I already innately feel like I'm great at designing and great at creating things, if I focus my energy on being great at creating things, can you imagine how much I would be great at that? And at the same time, fuel my soul. So I'm really excited to get you guys all interested in getting in touch with that part of you that really feels a sense of greatness. And you maybe haven't thought of it a long time. You maybe haven't thought of like, when I was a kid, I really, really was great at that. And I really love doing that. And that's for me, what makes businesses so amazing, because you find that nirvana, that ikigai, that part of you that's really great at something, and you are innately given it, and you actually make money at it. So that's a really incredible combination. If you make 3 circles with one center where they all cross over, if you are making money, loving life, and innately good at it or great at it, that little piece in the middle is the part that really I think we should be striving for. Or that's the nirvana, that's the wonderful piece. And maybe it isn't even about striving, because if you're already great at it, you don't have to strive at it. You just have to decide that you're going to be greater at your greatness. And so for all of us who are doing things we don't really like, or doing things that we're not really good at, it's a great litmus test to say, I'm not even good at this. This isn't innately given to me, and yet I still keep trudging through it. Why? Why am I doing that? Why am I doing the things that I'm not great at, that weren't divinely given to me, and I don't even enjoy? Why do I still do that? What if I was great at being great? If I was being my own greatness? And I really want to keep saying that sentence, because people are like, I don't get it. Be great at your greatness. And they're like, well, what am I great at? Well, if you don't know what you're great at, this is so awesome, because then you get to go explore. You get to go actually find out what you're great at. And finding out what you're great at this age in your life is so freeing, because you're like, I'm going to try that. Yeah, no, don't like that. I'm going to do this. Okay, I'm going to try that. Oh, I can afford to do this. Oh, I'm free to do this. Oh, I'm allowed to do this. All of the things that held you back ever before, you now actually can say, I'm going to try all those things. I'm going to see if I'm great at, I didn't know I was great at cycling until I tried it. I didn't know that I was great at designing until I did it. So all the things that you've wanted to do because you don't know what you're great at, go try a bunch of things, and then wonderfully check off the list. Like, yeah, no, thank you. I'm not great at drumming. Yeah, no, thank you. I'm not great at snake wrangling. Yeah, no, thank you. I don't want to be bull riding, but man, do I love flower arranging. Or fabulous. I am so in love with this new thing that I've just discovered. Because one of the things I know is when you're not evolving and you're not discovering and you're not recreating you're dying. And I hate to say that in such a drastic way, but I've recently been watching the plants and the shrubs all come back to life around our home, because it's starting to rain and the snow has melted. In fact, right outside my window is a bush that has been blackened, brown, gray twigs for 9 months. And the other day it was raining, and I swear to you, I could see the bush breathing. I was staring at the bush, and it was like, it was so incredible. I said to Peter, like, the bush is breathing. And now, like less than 5 days later, all these little green sprouts are coming out on the brown branches. That bush that's been dead and 40 below weather for 9 months is coming back to life with nothing, just rain and sunshine. We haven't done anything to it. We haven't go and assisted it in any way. And so you are exactly that. If you have had twigs and brown and no sprouting and no blossoming, guess what? You're entirely allowed to blossom right now, starting today. blossoming into your greatness. All right, grab your paper. One more. What do you know that this is what Les Brown told me. What would you talk about for 6 to 8 hours straight without stopping and not needing notes without being paid? Like, what are you really passionate about that you're like, I could talk about that all day long and no one needs to pay me. I would just keep on doing that. I'd talk about that. I'd do that. I'd bake cakes the 6 hours of the day. I'd go motorbike riding all day long. I could be out fishing. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if anyone paid me. If I never made a dime, I'd do it anyway. So think about that. Write down the thing that you love so much that you could do all day long. No one would have to prompt you. You wouldn't care if you got paid or not, but you love it so much. Write that down. For some of you, it may be more than one thing, and it might be different quadrants of your life. You might have the thing in your health and wellness. You might have the thing in your business. You might have that with your family and relationships, but absolutely think of that thing you would do if nobody paid you. Now, if one of you would like to put something in in the chat, I would love that to see what everybody is sharing. I'm extremely adventurous. I love fashion, travel, and design. Absolutely. The power of the mind, using our own words to change the out of date belief systems which stand between us and the life we want to live. Fantastic. So right in there, what you would do if you didn't get paid and you could do for hours and you would just do it because you love it. I'd love to see some of that. Please share some of those things. Super fun. For me, I literally, I love puzzles. I literally can sit and do puzzles for hours. I love puzzles. I just love doing puzzles. You don't have to pay me to do a puzzle. If someone finds a puzzle, I'm like, I'm in on doing a puzzle. So how does that relate to my business? JB, how does doing puzzles relate to your business? The thing is, when you get in touch with, when you are aware of, when you're on the other side of your brain and you're listening to what the things that you innately love to do, and you start honoring that, maybe today it's just puzzles, but next week it might be stepping on the stage of Dragon's Den for my business. You get the courage, you get the knowing, you get the connection, you find a part of yourself that allows you to do the big things because you're listening to yourself and you're styling into what is important to you. I love what you guys are sharing: personal growth, camping, business, productivity, the importance of having a schedule. Fantastic. Those are the things. Importance of having a schedule. Perlette, you love doing that without being paid? That's so great. My favorite story is Peter and I drove the kids to Disneyland. It's like a 2.5 day drive from Canada to Disneyland. And we were in Disneyland for 6 days and we drove home and it was like, 26 hours of driving. And I said, I can't wait to get home and get back to work. And my son said to me, like, Mom, you are the most insane person. Who leaves Disneyland because they can't wait to get back to work? Only you would say, leave Disneyland. I'd be like, can't wait to get back to work, because I love my work so much. My work feeds all of the innate things about me that I feel are great. And that's what I want to plug inside of each and every one of you. What is your greatness? What can you be great at that you're already great at? How can you dial into the greatness that was given to you by divine source, whatever that is for you? What is great about you already that you don't have to strive for, that you already know is great, and you can go after that? Now, I'd love to hear from anyone. Please share. I've got one final thing, but if you'd like to share, I'd love to hear a little bit if this was inspiring to anyone or touched anyone's heart, or they realized they were great at something they didn't know they were great at. Anybody want to share? Come on, you everybody. I'll just pick you. I'll just pick you. If you're Steph, go ahead. I see you smiling. Give us something. And then Barbara, you go ahead. What are you great at, girl?
Hey, this was hard. Not that I didn't enjoy it, but it was definitely hard.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree. And it's hard because so many of us have been told differently, right? So many of us have been shared that we're not great. I have a dad who used to tell me all the time, like, who do you think you are? Take it down a notch, get your head out of the clouds. You're not the Queen of Sheba. Put a bag over your head. Like, all the things about me that didn't make me great. In fact, I will share with you, I was in 2 very abusive relationships. And I said to Peter, like, I have been shaken, hit, strangled, pushed, shoved, and beaten out of my greatness. And people have said, like, we don't like the way you are. And so it is hard to feel great when other people in our lives have told us we're not. And so, Steph, thank you so much for being honest about that, because it is hard. It is hard when you have had a lot of other people share with you differently. And I'm so blessed that you're part of our community, because for everyone here, it is dipping our toe into our greatness. It is a scary place to step into. It is a bit like, are you sure? What if people see that I'm not great? What if everyone knows I'm a fraud? That is the whole process of this, is being with Ignite, because we are igniting something new in your lives, something maybe you didn't have before, but you got it now. You get to feel this way now. You get to have this support now. And maybe it's just going to be one tiny little sliver. Like, I'm just great at breathing. Amen. Thank God you're great at breathing, because we want you here. We need you to breathe every single day so you're with us. So I honor you and I bless you so much. Thank you. Absolutely. Big kisses to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Barbara, do you want to share?
So I think that there's so many things. I realize that being courageous, I've always been courageous, and being able to be stepping out of the box and being uncomfortable and still doing it anyway. And I even thought back of, like, I went out for cheerleading. I didn't even know how to do it. I just thought, well, I'll just try. And I like made it. And it was like a shock. Or, and taking a risk. When I got married, we were moving to the Virgin Islands, and I'd never been there. And my ex-husband didn't know which island. He had been there a lot, which island to go on. We left all of our belongings on a dock in Miami with destination unknown on the boxes. I was 19 years old, and I just realized that there's and the courage to walk through, like, what my story is. And I realized that I've played small for so much of my life, like you were just talking about, JB, because being told, quiet down, you focus, and I'm realizing that's my greatness, is
Yes.
being alive and having energy and wanting to live life to its fullest.
I love that. I love that. It's so true. Thank you for sharing, because it is an awakening, and it is an expression, and it is something that we're not used to, and we're not doing it all the time. And in fact, if you go to your friend and you say, I'm great at this, or I'm great at that, they probably look at you very strange. And so I felt it was so important to create this environment where you guys get to all say what you're great at, and you get to be it, because many of us are great at things, but we're like closet great. We don't want anyone to know that we're great at that. We don't want to say that we're great at that. We don't want to tell people we're great at that. And so I've actually been creating a new motto for me. Like, whenever I do something silly or make a mistake, I'll be like, that's okay. I'm still great at that. I'm still great at that. If I do, a spelling mistake, or I trip or something, or I fall, or I don't do the dishes, whatever, I'm still great at it. I'm still great at it, because life is an evolution. And the thing that humans do is they attach the end result to it. So, like, I'm only great if I reach the end result. I'm only great if I make the $1 million. I'm only great if I cross the finish line. I'm only great if I get the Olympic gold. But that isn't true. And I talk to you guys about this a lot. Like, if your goal is to make $1 million and you make 998,000, does that mean you're any less great? No. This end point is what we really strategize and we really struggle with, is because we're pushing ourselves to that level of greatness that really necessarily is someone else's marker, or isn't really the marker, because it's the process of getting there and us being in it that really allows us to be great. I really appreciate you sharing. Thank you so much. Anyone else want to share? For fun, take the word greatness and write it in big, bold letters, and just do something fun with yourself. Take each letter in the word greatness and allow that letter to be the first letter in a word that does describe your greatness. So, for example, G could be, I'm great at growing. I'm great at giving. I'm great at getting groceries. And then your R is, I'm great at reading. I'm great at being resourceful. I'm great at my recreation on the weekends. So just take the word greatness and have some fun with it. take each letter from that word and write out something that you're great at that starts with the same letter. I'll give you a few moments to do that. Anybody feel like sharing some of their words? Hands up. All right. Holly, you've got your hand up. Do you want to share a little bit?
Yeah, I was going to share something else before, but I'll tell you my greatness versus goofy. I have an 11-year-old and I can't get too serious. Resilient, energized, authentic, terrific, nurturing, excellent, supportive, and I hadn't done the last one. I'll go with Superwoman.
Superstar. I was going to say superstar too. So
Superstar,
fantastic.
okay.
Superwoman. I love it. I love it. Those are great. And did you want to share what you were going to say before?
Yes. I was great at something. So I've been a nurse for 35 years. I started doing nursing workshops to help coach nurses on their careers. And then I got laid off in December, about 3 months after, I'm like, I'm finally, following my dreams to do coaching. And then I got laid off. And I just like, oh, wait a minute, who's going to come to me for career coaching? And I'm out of a job. And then I had to go, oh, wait a minute, I have 35 years of experience, how to be resilient, how to create your own job, how when they send you home and you're not going to have a job, how to run around and get yourself a job. So I still had a lot to give, but it definitely, I allowed myself to get off that dream path and off the positive beliefs. So kind of just talk to yourself. If I told someone else, oh, I don't think I can do it because I told myself, really? So the whole 35 years that you learned you don't have anything to offer. So I just kind of, smart mouthed myself and like, oh, that's right. Okay. I'm doing something. I'm working with fertility couples instead, but I got myself out of that maybe imposter syndrome or
yeah, good for you. I totally agree, because what happens is we think that we're not, we feel like our greatness isn't qualified yet because we still haven't reached that final, pinnacle sometimes. And we also look at what we're doing right now. And often for you, especially Holly, for example, like you're changing, you're morphing, you're phoenixing out of a new, metamorphosis into a new career. Of course, you're not going to be what you were then, but you're still great at what you're going for because you have all that background and you have all that experience. I totally agree with you. Bravo. Great sharing. All right, Tracy Stone, your turn. Share with us a little bit.
Hello, lovely. Something to share with all of the lovelies on the call that are struggling to find what it is that they're great at or great within them is very usually if we think quietly back to when we were 7 or 8 and think about what is it that we loved doing? What was it that we were special at? And everybody had something they loved doing. You may not have been the best in the world at it, but it was something that you knew, oh my God, I love this so much. And identify what that thing is. And it's a translation of that we then use going through life for our greatness. So for me personally, in my example, as a very small child, my natural skill was always understanding people's needs. It was always very quickly at a very young age, understanding what's going on, what do they need, and getting it for them. As simple as making my mother a cup of tea when I was 4 years old, when I knew it's what she needed. But it's that it was that connection to understand what is necessary, what is needed by somebody else to get them into a better place. And that's what I now make my living out of. And it's not just my living, it's my calling in life. Although as a child, I wouldn't have understood that at that age, that knowing that she needed this cup of tea and this biscuit was so pivotal, it was so important. So if people think back to those same moments when they were young, when they were 7 or 8, what was it that I knew I needed to do then? And it can be something that sounds so silly, but when you actually translate that and upgrade it into the equivalent today, that is the thing that you're great at.
Mm-hmm. You know, it makes me think of like that fairy tale, The Princess and the Pea. Like there was 27 mattresses and at the very bottom one was the pea. And that's for me exactly the way life is. Like you have the pea as your greatness, but your parents and your teachers and society and all these things layered on all these things that said you weren't great. And so your wonderful exploration gets to be like tossing off that mattress and tossing off that one to get to the P, because every single one of us has that amazing sparkle of greatness in us. It's just under layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of everyone telling us differently. So if struggling with your greatness and what you said exactly, like if when you were a child and you were great and then it all got layered, the fun part is now, like, how do I get to uncover and rediscover that? And it's not a chore. It's not a like, oh, someone's faster than me or people are better than me. It's like really the universe is giving you a gift of exploration to discover you and finding that piece of you. So great sharing, Tracy. Thank you so much. Barbara, you've got your hand up and then we'll go to Perlette.
I just read something in Vishan's book, Recoding. Oh, God, you think I would know the
Code of the
name?
Extraordinary Mind.
Yes. And this was so what you were just kept talking about, that end goal and the goal. And it's like if you keep peeling that back, what really is your goal? Your goal is really maybe how does that make you feel, to be happy, to this, like, so looking at what that external goal is that you think of, that $1 million, at this, or achieving a PhD or whatever it is, that what does that do for you? And that made a whole shift for me. I read it a couple of days ago. What is that underlying thing that I want to feel from whatever? And that's the core goal of what to have. It might come in a different package. I didn't think authoring this story would give me the kinds of things that it has given me.
You're right. Emotion is the key to it, right? And having that emotion around your greatness, like almost surrendering. Like there's a surrendering, like I'm great at this and I'm okay with that. And I like that about myself and that's great. And I love uncovering it. And because it makes me feel a certain way. You're so, so true. Like Tracy Stone loved taking care and helping people because it made her feel a certain way. I love designing and creating things because it made me feel a certain way. And actually, when you're so correct, and I talk about this a lot in my parenting book, Enjoying Parenting, if you connect with your emotions, that really actually is a far bigger driving force than a PhD or $1 million or a Lamborghini. Like the emotion will really drive you. Fantastic. Great, great suggestion. Perlette, your turn.
So I always think of myself whenever I doubt anything, I always say, you were given this life because you're strong enough to live it. You know, so many people are not here, but we are all here. So we always have the opportunity. And when I was growing up, like I didn't even realize that I just always like things in order, always organizing things. And one of my schoolmates said to me many years ago, you've been doing this since grade 9. And I'm like, really? And so few years ago when I had my near-death experience, I realized that, oh my goodness, I'm the one who loved to organize and schedule things. And now it is so my passion, you know, just to say it's good to have a plan, but make sure you also schedule your task, right? So everything just sort of seemed full circle. But I realized that, you know, comparing or looking at other situation doesn't help, because in that moment when I thought I wasn't going to live, it was all the things that I thought I didn't do that I came here to do that I was concerned about, right? So I encourage anyone, just live your life fully and you celebrate. And now I celebrate small wins, big wins, all of them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Snap fingers that we celebrate the big things and the little things. It's so
That's
so
right.
true. When we were cycling on the weekend, we went by something called Porcupine Lake, and I was saying to Peter, like, a porcupine is only unhappy being a porcupine if he wishes he was a cheetah. And so
Mhm.
that's what we do as human beings. Like, we no porcupine looks and says, I wish I was a cheetah. Like, it doesn't happen, but the human does that. The human looks and says, I wish I was thinner, I wish I was smarter, I wish I was richer, I
Mhm.
wish I was faster. And so what I would say to the porcupine is, if you want to be a cheetah, how about instead be the fastest porcupine that you can be? Not the fastest porcupine in the world, just the fastest porcupine that you can be. And so be a fast porcupine, not be a porcupine trying to be a cheetah. And so I use these silly analogies because sometimes it focuses on the other side of our brain. When we're on the left side of our brain, it's logical, it's realistic, it's practical, it's mature, it's, it's behaved, it's conditioned. But if I said to you, like, you're a porcupine, stop trying to be a cheetah and just be the fastest porcupine that you can be, not any faster than anybody else, just be in your own porcupine greatness. It helps the creative mind realize that, you know what, it is actually very logical and realistic to just think a porcupine's never going to be a cheetah, so why wish to be one? Why doesn't he just be happy with who he is and then work on his own greatness? And that's his little porcupine legs running as fast as they can. And so if you can apply some of that to yourself, it's actually quite freeing to realize, like, I don't need to be like my friend. I don't need to be like that person. I don't need to compare myself to them. I'm just going to be the best version of me. So that's my little sharing for today, little wisdom from the mountains. I hope it was helpful. I'd love for you guys to take a moment when you're doing your networking session now. Peter's going to break you up into groups so you can connect with one another. I'd love for you to introduce yourself, tell people what you do, what your business is, and how quickly you achieve your results. And then share a little bit and practice saying, you know what, and I'm great at, and then say that. And if it's just, I'm great at breathing, go for that. But I want you to, hi, my name is JB. I help people tell their transformational stories in a powerful 4-month process. And I am really, really great at seeing the beauty and greatness in others. All right, so share something like that. Peter's going to put you into a group now, and you guys are going to have 2 minutes each to share. So go ahead and enjoy your networking session. Hey, Peter, how long till they're back?
Yeah, I just closed the room, so we'll be back in 60 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, I gave him a little bit longer because the rooms got a little bit jumbled around. So there's 3 people, 4 people in one room. So
Okay, great. Okay, I'm gonna send them off to their rooms again, and then I'll try to wrap up early. I'll do that instead. I'll call you back when I'm done.
okay.
Okay, bye. I'm just trying to, I guess I'll wrap up a little bit early instead of doing another networking session.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Hey, Miss Pamela, do you need me for anything? Welcome back, everyone. Love having you back. Love that you're getting to share. I was just reading over some of the things in the chat. Oh my goodness, there's some yumminess in the chat. You guys are all so incredible. Thanks so much for everyone who's been putting fun stuff in the chat. Well done. Bravo. I love reading what you're all great at because now I know a little bit more about you, which is so cool to know that next level of you is really, really powerful. Now, did anybody meet somebody that they just think is so great they have to tell us about? Anybody want to tell us about someone they met that was really, really great? Who haven't we heard from? Yeah, go ahead, Barbara.
So I just met Marcinelle, and I just knew her as Thrive. And boy, she wears so many hats. She owns a yoga studio. She's a nurse practitioner with her own practice. I saw her stethoscope around her neck, and she's a Reiki master. And so, so many beautiful things that are all coming into play there, and that she really is an introvert, so that she really goes out of her way to make sure that she presents herself in groups, which is not really comfortable for her.
Wow, bravo. Great introduction. All right. Marcinelle, would you like to introduce Barbara? What's great about her?
Well, what I heard with both ladies is just that I think we kind of connect with our courage piece. We do so many amazing things. Barbara, I am so excited to hear that she is also a level 2 Reiki. She just completed her level 2 Reiki. So that's a commonality that we have. And I always get excited because now we can kind of speak the same language. And then Kate, we connected because she talked about having courage, and I always have to, and you'll see in my little chapter in the book how I talk about fear and having courage all the time. So I was excited to meet both ladies.
Fantastic. Awesome. And Barbara, do you want to introduce Kate?
Well, I've known Kate for a long time from the Archangel and Giovanni's program. And so we've been in a mastermind, a children's initiative and mastermind, and she is an empath. She's been a social worker. She's been really she's had a lot of things to overcome in her life, and she has stepped up to the plate, and she's always about helping and serving others, and especially children. And she's really on a huge mission of personal growth and expansion for herself.
Brilliant. I love it. She is absolutely amazing. Thank you, Kate. Now, I will share with you as we're wrapping up, if you aren't sure what you're great at, here's some great exercises. Go on your Facebook and ask your friends. Your friends will tell you what you're great at, and you can easily just post, hey, JB asked me to do this exercise and ask you what I'm great at. Tell me what I'm great. Like, you can even blame me, like use me as an excuse, like doing this exercise with Ignite, wanting to know what you think I'm great at, and see what your friends tell you. It's a really fun thing. Now, when I was a kid, I read the book Harriet the Spy. I don't know if any of you have read that, but Harriet was a spy and she had her spy notes with her. So grab your Harriet the Spy book and go around and ask people, what do you think I'm great at? And just write it down and don't say anything else. Or if I was to ask you what you think I'm great at, what would you say? And then just write it down and don't do anything else. Just get a little notebook, a little, put it on your phone, have your little notes on your phone, your little separate section, things I'm great at. And then just ask people, you're at a dinner party, you know what? I'm doing this little research on myself. I'm wondering, is there something about me that you would say that I'm great at? And then type it into your phone. Start doing some fun stuff like reconnaissance, interviewing others about who you are and what you're great at. And you'll be fascinated to hear what people have to say about you. Really, truly fascinated. Now, if you come across that one person that says, I don't think you're great at anything, that's a fantastic opportunity for you to seep into compassion, because if somebody can't see greatness in you, it's truly because they can't see greatness in themselves. It's just like those, Bushman warrior pygmies that didn't have the word blue in their vocabulary, so they couldn't see the color blue. If somebody cannot recognize greatness in themselves, they cannot recognize it in someone else. And whenever someone says, I don't think you're great at anything, fill yourself with compassion, because if they don't think that about you, imagine how much they don't think that about themselves. All right. That's my little fun greatness for the day. I hope it was inspiring. You know that I love each and every one of you. Ignite is here to ignite lives and impact humanity. That is the reason why we do what we do. Congratulations to all the authors. For those of you who are not launching this weekend, I want to remind you this Friday, we are launching Ignite the Entrepreneur. So go to Amazon and download a copy of Ignite the Entrepreneur, and then leave a fantastic review. Now, you're all authors, you're soon to be authors, so we support our fellow authors. So if you're not launching this weekend, wherever you are in the world, on Friday, go to Amazon, type in Ignite the Entrepreneur, download a free Kindle copy, and then upload a fantastic review for your fellow authors. They'll do the same for you. And this is the way we support our Ignite family. So Ignite the Entrepreneur, launching this Friday on Amazon. Super excited for you all to enjoy it. Great stories in there about Ignite moments around entrepreneurship. All right. Hugs and kisses to everyone. Your assignment today, if you choose to accept it, is to go out and be great. Be great at your greatness. All right. Big hugs and kisses. Unmute yourself and blow some kisses. All right, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right. Have a great day.
everybody.
Take
Good luck
care.
today.
Blessings to you all.
Thanks,
All right.
everyone. Take
Ciao,
good care.
ciao.